Right, hello there, and welcome. There goes my dog. There goes Al. Right, here we are. Now, on this side you can't see, but there's a hole in the flywheel, and I got the screwdriver into the hole, and that is holding it at top dead centre for piston number 1 and piston number 3. So, the gaps for these, just give me a second. Okay, so here we are. This is the tools I need. Need feeler gauge, screwdriver, and once I find it, if I can find it, hang on. Oh, there it is. And a 13mm spanner to undo this, like so. Okay, so the first one we're doing is piston number 1. You can hear they're just tapping. That one's tapping, of course, but these two are just tapping as well, because these are all at top dead centre on the flywheel. Right, so now what I do is I go in here and I take the dog hair off there. Get the screwdriver in here. Actually no, first thing you do, get your feeler gauge to the right thicknesses. So, thickness for the exhaust is 30mm or 10 thou, I think? No, 12 thou? Something like that. I can't remember entirely what it is, but you can just use Google to transfer that back to thousandths of an inch. So, in exhaust it's 30mm, and then inlet is 25mm. So if I get these ready, it's the quickest I've ever done that. So exhaust is 30, roughly. So it's like well actually it's not 30mm, it's 0.30, and then for the inlet it's 0.25. That's rough. That's a rough size. So you just give it enough so that it slides nice and easily. So the first thing I'm going to do, my screwdriver there. First thing I'm going to do is test this one. This is the 30mm, and you can see that's just right. Just a nice amount of movement, only slight grip, and then on this one, that's way too much. You can see that I'm moving it way too much. So let's just loosen this off, like so. And you just hold it there and tighten up the gob screw a little bit. A little bit too tight there. Very fine adjustments on these. Got to make it so you've got only a tiny bit of grip on. Slight too much grip. Too little grip. A little bit more. There. I'll loosen it the tiniest little bit. And you've got to hold it nice and sturdy as you tighten it. Just make sure the 30mm can't fit in. There we go. Can't fit in, can't move, but in here moves nicely. And that's how you check that one. So that's piston number 1 done. So that's piston number 1. Now we can move on to piston number 3. I'm just going to quickly check something. Ow. Okay, so, hey buddy, don't get too far. Might just tie you to my tractor. Okay, so now we move on to piston cylinder even number 3. So now before I go any further, I'm going to tell you the firing order, and then the exhaust and inlet order. So the firing order is, let's think, I think it's 1, 3, 4, 2, I believe. Oh, there's rain coming in. I'm gonna have to stop this for a minute. Okay, we're back again. Right, back to this. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, for the inlet exhaust order goes, I'll repeat it twice just so you can hear it. Exhaust, inlet, inlet, exhaust, exhaust, inlet, inlet, exhaust. Say that again. Exhaust, inlet, inlet, exhaust, exhaust, inlet, inlet, exhaust. So that is the order of how you need to do it. Exhaust is 30mm, no, 0.30mm, and inlet is 0.25mm. So, now they're both done, let's move on to the next one. Here. Angle that a little bit more. Stick that, look at that, it doesn't even fit. Only just fits. So, I'm going to loosen it off a little bit. Swap hands. Just loosen it off. And crack. The only thing is I've not got the most stable hands in the world. Let's do that. To be honest, that seems just about right. It's just, if there's a little bit of friction, that's okay. A little bit more. Slightly too much. Give it a tad back and then tighten it. Got to make sure they're nice and tight. The lock nuts, that is, just so that they don't loosen up during running. Right, now moving on to the next one. Moving on to the next one, this is 0.25. You can see it doesn't fit, so loosen that off. Just see if I can get it to fit in there. There we go, fits through. Now you just make it so there's a little bit of a slight scrape, just so you can feel it slightly dragging in between the two pieces of metal. Still pretty clear at the moment. Just so you can feel a slight resistance, not just a slight scraping, just a little bit of resistance against it. That's too much resistance. Slightly less resistance. There we go, that's just about perfect. Oh, I think I loosened it off. I did. That's fine, I just do that. Oh dear. Again, this is a very fiddly job. It's very easy to turn these when you don't want to. There we go. Perfect. Right, I'm going to turn this on to the next top dead centre, and then we'll be back. Here we are, moving on. I just got the 4 and 2 to rock, rocking, 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 and rocking. Huh, that's interesting. Oh, no, they do that anyway. Interesting. Didn't realise they did that quite that much, but either way, that is piston 2 and 4 knocking. So, don't know if I'll tell you this, but the firing order goes 1, 3, 4, 2. 1, 3, 4, 2. 1, 3, 4, 2. So that's the firing order of this. That's useful to know for the distributor cap and spark plugs, and just useful information to know anyway. I need to get a new top gasket anyway at some point, because it is split there, but that's not the worry because it's not leaking at the moment. So what I do now is basically the same process as what I did on the last two. Just get this into the right adjustment, stick this into here. Oh wow, wait a minute, no, this one, because this is 0.25, but still will not fit. So then what you do is you loosen it right up, you stick it in, and then you start tightening it down. Again, this is a very picky process. I think that's pretty much right. A little bit too much, a tiny bit off. Back it off a tiny little bit more. Tighten it a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a tiny bit back. There we go, just a little bit of resistance. Give it a touch of this. And then just check it again. It's all good. So there we are. And then moving into this one. Is this one fine? No, that one's actually pretty darn good. Okay, next one. Let's do this one first. Again, it's pretty good. It's a little bit of resistance, not too much. And moving on to this one. A little bit too much resistance, so let's just loosen this one up a little bit. Tiny bit tweaking in. A little bit too much. So tweak it out a little bit. See, that's a little bit too little friction. You need to just have a little bit of tightness on there. There we go, that's good. Then you just go through, you tighten them up, just check them all again, make sure they're all nice and tight as well. So that one's good, make sure you can't fit the 30mm in there. Ah, but I can. So there you go, that's a mistake you can make. If you can fit the 30mm in there, it's too loose. So you loosen it up, tighten it down. Then make sure you can't fit the 0.3mm. Which I cannot, which then means that this one is at the right adjustment now. Just there. Right, and there we go. So that's how you can tell that one. That worked. Now that's done, I should just go through these, check them again. Again, that's 30mm, and that one is 0.25 and 0.3 even. Sorry, I keep saying 30. Make sure you can't fit 30 in there. Only just, which is good. And then this one's 0.3. Again, make sure you can only just. Actually, this one's a little bit loose. So you know what? Let's just tighten this one up a little bit. So if I can fit 30mm in there, there's a slight bit of friction, but not enough. You know? Tighten it up a little bit. Ah, a bit too tight. There we go. And that's how you adjust your valves. So now they're all adjusted, we'll spin it back to top dead centre on piston number 1 and cylinder number 3, double check those, then spin it back, double check these, and then if they are perfect, then we can move on, put everything back on, and then move on to the fuel tap once I get the parts in. So I'm going to turn that back to top to dead centre on that, and then we'll see. Right, okay. Now I've checked it all. It's all. It's all good now. So all of these are adjusted properly. I went through. I double checked 1 and 3 at the same time. Just make sure that when you turn it and you put the hole in, make sure you put the hole in when 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. Make sure they're both rocking at the same time. If it's just one rocking, don't adjust it. If it's both rocking at the same time, then you adjust it. But either way, I went through, I checked 1 and 3, I checked 2 and 4, they were perfectly fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rocker cover back on. So here we go, here's the rocker cover. Let's stick this back in here, like so. I'm going to try to line it up with the dodgy gasket that's on here at the moment. There we go. Okay, now I stick. Just do that to the threads just to make sure there's no muck in them. And stick that straight down. It's very difficult to find the right holes for these. Oh, that one went in fairly easily. Okay. There we go, no muck in the threads. Also, make sure you don't, if it rains, be sure, even if it's a light drizzle, to close your bonnet and stop work, because you do not want any wet, any water or dampness like that inside the engine itself. So always make sure that you cover the rockers, rocker arms and stuff, because you do not want any water in your engine, because it will mess it up. That's one. Don't do these up too tight, because if you do them up too tight, they will cave in the rocker cover. That is, just do it until you just start to see it pull the rocker cover down a little bit. That's how you know it's just right. Pull those off. Stick that on. This one back on. And then put this one back on. And then stick that into my 7/8 spanner. I don't actually know what that is in millimeters. I just know it's the right size. Again, don't do this up too tight.